Hi everyone, so today's video I'm going to be just sharing some memories with you about previous hospital and doctor visits. When my dizziness first started back in California, I made that appointment with the MRI like I have mentioned previously. This is that story. I was really nervous. I'm kind of claustrophobic, so the doctor prescribed some anxiety meds to take before I went in so that I was really calm for the MRI. And then when I actually got into the MRI machine, and anyone that's had an MRI done, you know how it like makes those really crazy noises, like banging noises all around you? Well, it was doing that, but I was like so mesmerized by all the noises, and I thought that it sounded like the game Pocket Tanks. I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but it's this really, I'll show you Pocket Tanks. I don't know why, but it reminded me of that game. And so when I got out of the MRI and Josh and I were waiting for a cab to pick us up because neither one of us had a car, I was telling him about it, and I kept saying the same thing over and over again to him. I don't really remember this. This is just my memory of him telling me this story. And he said that each time I told him the story, I changed the noises of the machine. Okay, this is turning out to be one of those stories that's only funny if you were actually there. Another time when I was in San Diego, I went to the emergency room, like I talked about in a previous video, and this was the time when I took the ambulance there, so I was, admitted into the ER, and I was in the bed, and so much was going on, and then all of a sudden the feeling in the room just changed. It was really weird. And then all of a sudden you hear all this like rustling, and they wheel in this guy who's having a heart attack, this old man who's having a heart attack, and they pull the curtain between me and him, so I can't see anything. All I can hear is this man having a heart attack, and the doctor's trying to help him, and they're like trying to revive him and everything, and he ends up dying like right there, and it was like one of the scariest things, and it's like making me cry. It was like one of the scariest things I've ever witnessed, because I've never witnessed, one, anyone having a heart attack, and two, dying like right there with just a sheet in between me and him. It was really scary. Like, I can remember the noises and how I felt, and it's just really weird. So that was definitely a memorable one. Definitely a sad one, and a scary one, but it is memorable. That same ER visit, it was much later in the day. It was towards the end of the night that I was there. The emergency room, where they have all the beds, that the doctors are all rotating and helping and whatnot, got really full. So they moved a bunch of us into the hallways of the hospital, like outside rooms, because they didn't have room to put us. And they put me right outside this woman's room, and I couldn't see inside the room, but I could hear because they had the door open, and it was a woman who was having like seizure after seizure after seizure, and she was just like crying out for help, and there were a lot of people in there like trying to help her, but they weren't able to or something, and it was just like so hard to listen to. I mean, I can't even imagine what she was actually going through, but just in my perspective, it was so difficult to listen to, and she was like throwing up a lot and like choking, and it was really scary. So again, like, I feel really bad for that woman. That was another scary memory that I have of that day. When I got home from San Diego, I went to a bunch of different doctors to try and figure out what was going on, and one of the places that I went to was a chiropractor, because someone suggested, maybe it's something with your alignment. So I went to see this chiropractor, and the chiropractor experience, the guy was great. He was really nice. It was kind of a weird place though, because it was really laid back, and like the owner's dog was just like walking around the office, saying hi to people, and I mean, that's cool for me. I love dogs. But it was just kind of weird. Anyway, into the actual appointment, he like hooked me up, hooked these things onto the back of my neck. There was like electrical currents. I don't really know why or what that's supposed to do. There is a reason, and he explained it to me at the time, but I've forgotten since. And then he did the actual adjustment, and since it was a dizziness problem, he thought it was an inner ear thing, and apparently there are these little things that attach to like your inner ear, and sometimes they can detach and they like float around or something, or maybe they float around all the time, but they like work their way out and that makes you dizzy. I don't know. I should probably have researched this before starting this video, but I'm not going to. If you're interested, you can research yourself. Anyway, so he had me lie on like the edge of the bed with my head off the bed, and he like had my head in his hands, and then he like rotated my head around really slowly a bunch of times. And the adjustment itself, I mean, I guess helped, but then a couple hours after the appointment, I was so dizzy. I was the most dizzy. I know I say that kind of a lot, but it was just really intense dizziness that is not normal for me. And so I was freaked out. And it was awful. It was so awful. And it was so bad. And it continued for like 3 days. And he was the kind of chiropractor who's like, I want to see you at least 3 times a week starting out. And then after that we can do less and less. So I went back to see him, obviously. And he told me, oh, this is normal, but you'll get less and less dizzy as we do it. Okay, I went and saw him 3 times, and by the 3rd time, and it happened again, and I was not any less dizzy, I was like, no, I am not going back to see him, I'm done. It's not an inner ear thing, this is just making me worse. And then there was this other time, they decided that they wanted to do something called hydrotherapy with me, just to be able to see how well my body can regulate its own temperature, and that kind of tells them how strong or weak my body is. And basically, what this entails is they wrap you in with wet, cold towels. They lay cold, wet towels on you. You're not wearing very many clothes, and they lay cold towels on you, and then they wrap you really tightly in like a wool blanket, and then you just wait until your body warms up enough to dry the towels. Then they unwrap you, take those towels off, and put warm towels on top of you, and then wrap you tightly in the wool blanket, and then you wait until your body cools the blankets to a normal temperature. And they do this, they alternate back and forth, back and forth. It's like almost a 2-hour, 3-hour maybe process. And I was really nervous because like I said, I'm claustrophobic, and just being constrained like that really bothers me, so I was so anxious. And they actually ended up finding out that my body was really weak, because after a while my body was not able to regulate, and like the very last 2 times my body couldn't cool off the towels, and then the next time it couldn't warm up the towels. It was just taking a really long time to do so. So that told them, I mean, it gave them information that, you know, I was definitely fighting something, we just weren't sure what at the time, and that my body was weak. So that was kind of a neat experience. Not very many people do that, I suppose. So those are just a few memories that I have that, you know, I thought about, that I thought I would share. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye, guys! So this is the game Pocket Tanks that I'm talking about. See? And then you have this other little tank over here. The objective of this game is to hit that other tank. Let's see. So here we go. So you try and... Oh, I was really short. See, I didn't hit him at all. But hear all those noises? That's what I thought that the MRI sounded like. Oh, he did hit me dead on. Look at that. That's a napalm. He just shot napalm at me. That's mine and Alex's favorite. I'll hit him with a sniper. Yeah! I still win.